Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths that is based on the advanced information given to us by the exam boards. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. A plan is a view that you would get if you were on top of the shape. So you were in an airplane or something looking down on the shape. So the sides of this that we'll see, well, we'd see this bit here and we would see this bit here. So I'm going to start off with the first bit I shaded, and we've got to figure out what the different lengths will be. Well, this would be 2 centimeters across, and the whole thing is 8 centimeters. The bit we don't want is 3 centimeters. So this part here will be 5. It would look like it was 5 wide. So let's draw that on. And so we've got 2 centimeters down, and we've got 5 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is what it would look like from above. Now the other part will be same 2 centimeters, but it will be 3 centimeters across. So we have 3 centimeters across. Now whenever you have a join or a change in elevation, you need to show that with a line across. And so this will be our completed answer. So we know that the mean is the sum of numbers over the amount. But in this question, we're actually given what the mean is. We're given that that is 29. We're also given the fact that there are 4 cards, so we're given the amount. So what we can do is just get our lines in and solve this. So what we're going to do is just times both sides by 4. So we're going to do 29 times 4, which is 116. And so we know that the sum of the numbers will be 116. So all we need to do is to find the 4th card, is get that 116 and just take away the numbers that we know. And when we do that, we get the answer 26. Now you can easily check this by adding up 37, 26, 27 and 26 again, and then dividing it by 4, and you will get 29. To answer this question, we need to cut this shape into 2 shapes. So we're going to draw a line across here, and we're going to cut it into a rectangle and a triangle. Now we need to first of all label the parts of the triangle. So the length or the width of the triangle, the base, will be the same as the base at the bottom, so that will be 20 centimeters. And we need to find the height, which is this length here, which is 90 degrees to the base. And to find that, what we can look at is the fact that the total height of the whole thing is 13, and the height of the bit we don't want is 11. So what's left over? Well, 2 centimeters will be left over, so the height will be 2 centimeters of the triangle. So let's work out the area of the triangle first. Which is going to be half times base times height. Half times the base, which is 20, times the height, which is 2, will just give us 20. Now let's work out the area of the rectangle. And that's just going to be the width times the length. Width is 20, the length is 11, so that would be 220. Then to work out the total area of the whole thing, we're just going to add those together. So 220 plus 20, which is 240. The units are all in centimeters, and so the area units will be centimeters squared. There's a formula we use for this, and it is percentage change is equal to the amount that's changed over the original amount, and all of that times 100%. So how much has changed here? Well, we need to do 10,488 take away 10,254, so that would be 234. Divide it by the original, so the original was 10,488 because it's decreased from that amount, and then times by 100%. And so that's going to be 2.23%. So to find the probability, we're going to do the successful outcomes divided by the total number of outcomes. So looking at this question, it says number of times it should land on a 1, so that would be 1 over the total amount, which is 11. So the chance of us getting a 1 is 1 over 11. To find the expected amount, we do the probability and we times it by the amount of trials. So it says it's spun 60 times, so we're going to times it by 60. And that will give us the answer of 5.454 blah blah blah. Now it can't have landed on a 1 5.4 times, so it's definitely, well, this probability, we always round down, so never ever round up, because it's 5 times and then a little bit extra, and so only when it gets to 6 can we say that it's 6 times. So the answer to this is just 5. So this question says that Adrian, Ben and Charlie have some sweets, and the ratio of Adrian to Ben to Charlie is 9:6:13. But it also says that Charlie got 56 more sweets than Adrian. So there's 56 more sweets. Well, looking at the actual parts of the ratio, there are 4 more parts. So plus 4 parts, which represent plus 56 sweets. So the 4 extra parts are worth 56 sweets. So 4 parts are worth 56 sweets. So 1 part would be 56 divided by 4, which is 14 sweets. So all we need to do now is work out how many parts there are. Well, there are 9 plus 6 plus 13 parts, which is 28. And each part is worth 14 sweets. So the total number of sweets will be 28 times 14. So 28 times 14 is 392. So we're going to write an expression for the amount of people on the first bus. So they've started with X passengers and they've gone to 11 bus stops with X passengers. So altogether that is 12X. So we're going to have the first bus. And so we've got 12X. And then on the last bus stop, 19 passengers get on. So plus 19. Now for the second bus, well, we start with X and a further 5X come on. Because 5 bus stops with X passengers, so that's 6X altogether. And then 79 get on. And it says the first bus finishes with less passengers than the first. So the first bus finishes with less. And the way we show that is with this inequality here. Now all we need to do is solve that inequality. And we've got X on both sides, so we look at the X's. We've got 12X and 6X, so we always take away the smaller amount. So we're going to take away the 6X both sides. And next thing we're going to do is take away the 19 from both sides. And so, meant to be 60. Got ahead of myself. And the last thing we do is divide by 6 both sides. And so we've got x is less than 10. Now, it says here, assuming no passengers got off either bus, what is the largest value for x? Now, it is tempting to write down 10, but it says x has to be less than 10. So the biggest number we can get that is less than 10 is 9. We can't work out what x is straight away, but we can find this value here. And we know with Pythagoras we can find a third length if we've got other two in a right angled triangle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a and b were labelled. C is always opposite the right angle. So it'd be 49 squared plus b squared equals 68 squared. And 49 squared is 2,401. And 68 squared is 4,624. So we are solving here, so let's get our lines down. And we're going to start by subtracting the 2,401 from both sides. So we've got b squared equals 2,223. Then we're going to square root both sides, and we've got b equal to 47.148, blah blah blah. Okay, we're now looking at the second diagram, and this time we're going to have a, we've got our b, and we're going to call x the c. So it would be a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but this time a is 39. B we are given as 47.148, we've just worked that out. And we're looking for c, in fact we can call it x now. Okay, so we need to square that. So we do 39 squared plus 47.148 squared, and that will be 3,744 equal to x squared. And we'll just get our lines in because we need to square root both sides, and we get 61.188 blah 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 is equal to x. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so that will be 61.19. So we're going to start by understanding that all lines form or can form an equation y equals mx plus c, with m being the gradient and c being the y-intercept. It says here the gradient is -2, so we've already got a bit of a head start with this, but we don't know what the y-intercept is. So we're going to use this first set of coordinates to work out what the y-intercept is. So y is -31 and x is 15. And we're going to use this to solve and find out what c is. So first thing I'm going to do is, well, just tidy this up. 2 times 15 is 30, so -30 plus c. And I'm just going to add 30 to both sides to get c on its own. So that would be -1 equals c. So c is -1. So we now know that the equation is y equals -2x minus 1. And we're told that the y is -37. And we're looking for the x value, which they've called w. So let's get our solving lines in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add 1 to both sides. And so it would be -36 equals -2x. I'm going to now times, or divide everything by -2. And a negative divided by a negative is positive. 36 divided by 2 is 18. And then obviously that gets rid of the coefficient of the x, so it's just x. So x equals 18. So the x value is 18 and the x value is the w value. So w is 18. So here we're asked to factorise a quadratic, and our answer will be x plus or minus something, x plus or minus something. So it'll be 2 sets of brackets with an x at the start. Okay, so to be able to find out what's in the bracket, we look at the 36 there, and we know that we're going to have to multiply two numbers together to make that 36. And we look at the coefficient of the x, that 15, and we know we're going to have to add these numbers together to make that 15. Now, if you just can figure out in your head the answer, that's absolutely fine. If not, you can just quickly write down the factors of 36. Now, because they multiply together to make a positive 36, they'll either both be positive or both be negative, but they add together to make a positive number. So we're just looking at the positive factors. So 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and 6 and 6. And we're looking for which ones of those add together to make 15. And we can see here it's going to be 3 and 12 add together to make 15. So our two numbers are going to be plus 3 and plus 12, or the other way around. There are two shapes we need to find the volume of. There's this cylinder here and this hemisphere here. So we might as well start with this cylinder. And the formula for the volume is pi times r squared times height. So it's the radius is 9, so 9 squared times the height, which is 30. And when we work that out, we get 7,634.070, blah, blah, blah. Next is the hemisphere. To find the volume of the hemisphere, well, the volume of a sphere is 4/3 times pi times r cubed, but because it's a hemisphere, we just times that by a half. So it's half times 4/3 times pi times r, which is the radius, which is 9 cubed, and that gives us 1,526.814, blah, blah, blah. And so the total volume is 7,634.070, blah, 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 plus the 1,526.814, blah, 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 which equals 9,160.884, blah, blah, blah. It says it wants it two decimal places, so when we round that, we get 9,160.88. To work out the total surface area of the cone, we've got to first of all work out the curved surface area. And the formula for that is pi rl, with L being the slanted length. And this 13 here gives us the slanted length, so it's pi times the radius, which is 5, times 13. And that's going to be 204.203, blah, blah, blah. We'll keep that in our calculator. We've got to then work out the area of the circle at the bottom. So the area of the circle, which the formula is pi r squared. So it's going to be pi times 5 squared, which is 78.539, blah, blah, blah. And so the total surface area is just a matter of adding those together. And that will give us 282.743, blah, blah, blah. And two decimal places, that's going to be 282.74. We can write the equation of any linear graph as y equals mx plus c. So m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. So we've got to find what the gradient and the y-intercept are. Well, I'm going to first of all try and figure out what the gradient is, because we're actually given some clues here. We're told that the line is perpendicular to the equation given. Now I'm going to rewrite this a little bit just to make it a bit clearer what the gradient of this is. So I'm going to write this as minus 1 over 12. I'm just going to leave a bit more of a gap there. Minus 1 over 12 x plus 12. And you can see that the number before the x, the coefficient of the x, is minus 1 over 12. But we're not told that it's parallel to that, so it's not, the equation that we've got is not going to have the gradient as minus 1 over 12. We're told it's perpendicular. Now, when two things are perpendicular, to find the gradient of the other one, if we know one of them, you've got to change the sign and find the reciprocal of the fraction. So to find our gradient, we're going to change the sign, so it's negative, so our gradient is going to be positive, and we're going to flip it. We're going to find the reciprocal. Reciprocal of 1 over 12 will be 12 over 1, or just 12. So the gradient of our line is going to be 12. To find the y-intercept, we're going to use the points given to us. So we've got x equals 3 and y equals 4 for a point on our line. We're going to substitute those into the equation we've got. So it's going to be 40 equals 12 times 3 plus c. Put in our solving lines. 12 times 3 is 36. And we're going to take away that 36 both sides. So it's going to be 4 equals c, or c equals 4. So our equation will be y equals 12x plus 4. Now this question is on the calculator paper, so we know we're going to be using the quadratic formula because it asks us to leave our answers to 2 decimal places. So for the quadratic formula, we need to work out what a equals, what b equals, and what c equals. Now a is the number before the x squared, which would be minus 2. B is the number on before the x, which would be 13, and c is the number on its own, which would be minus 17. We're going to write out the quadratic formula, so it's x equals minus b. Now I always put these into brackets, so I'm going to first of all just do the fraction first, just so we've got nice formatting on it. So we're going to have minus brackets b plus minus the square root of brackets b squared minus 4 times a in brackets times c in brackets. Okay, and the reason we put the brackets is that it's very, very easy to make mistakes with the negatives, and so if you put all the numbers in brackets, you'll never make that mistake, and it's going to be over 2a, so that's 2 times minus 2. We're going to first of all put that into our calculators with a plus there, and when you do it with a plus there, you get 1.813 blah blah blah. And then what you're going to do is use your calculator to go back to this and change it for a minus. And when we do that, we get 4.686 blah blah blah. And so to 2 decimal places, we've got 1.81 and 4.69. The first thing to notice is that 125 is 5 cubed. So instead of 1 over 125, it would be 1 over 5 cubed. And we know that when you have a negative power, it actually turns into the reciprocal of that number. So 5 to the power of minus 3 becomes 1 over 5 to the power of 3. So n is going to be this minus 3. So we're told to complete the square, so we're just going to get this equation here and just complete the square for it. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the coefficient of the x squared. So we want just x squared and so on. So I'm just going to make a set of brackets, and we're going to factorise it out of the x squared and the minus 24x, so that would be minus 8x. Then we've got the take away 15. Next, I'm going to complete the square, so I'm going to do this in a different colour just so we can see what's happening. And to do this, we have a bracket with an x minus half of the coefficient of the x, so that'd be 4 squared. Now if we expand that, we get x squared, brilliant, minus 8x, fantastic, and then we have a plus 16, so we need to remove the 16, so we're going to take away the 16. Next we're going to expand the bracket with the 3 in, so we're going to have 3 brackets x minus 4 squared, or close bracket squared, minus 48, minus 15, and then we're just going to tidy that up by adding the numbers together, so that would be minus 63. On our graph, we're going to draw the graph of y equals 3x squared. Okay, simple. And we don't need to, it's only a sketch, so we don't need to worry about exact values, but we do know, the most important thing is we know it goes through the origin, so it hits here at 0, 0. That's the important thing, okay? Because we know that if we called that f of x, then the situation we've got here, well, it's going to be f of x minus 4, okay, because we've got the minus 4 there. So that means it will move to the right 4, okay? And it will also, we've got to worry about that minus 63 as well. And if we had f of x minus 63, we know it goes down 63. So in total, we have f of x minus 4 take away 63. That's what we have in total. So we're moving just 4 to the right and then 63 down. So instead of 0, 0, our minimum point will be at 4 minus 63. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.